What's up, guys and gals? Welcome back to the Nerd Castle. Today in the world of indie games, we're going to be checking out a title called NIENIX, Cosmic Warfare. We covered this game about a year and 4 or 5 months ago. This is an action RPG that is set in space, but instead of being a barbarian, or being a wizard, or being an engineer, or something like that, you are a spacecraft with different hulls. In fact, I think there's over 200 hulls in this game. And you equip it with weapons, you equip it with modules, and you do the exact same stuff that you do in Path of Exile. You cruise around, you kill tons of enemies, you cause big explosions, you wipe out everything on screen, you go back home with all your, ill-begotten loot, you sell it off, you do some crafting, all that kind of fun stuff, you go back out and do it again. The only difference is that this game is made by an incredibly tiny team, and it's quite ambitious for what it is. I played the game for 5 or 6 hours over the last day or two in order to get my playthrough ready for this video, and I think I'm ready to give my first impressions on the game. If after watching this you wanted to get the game for yourself, I got a link for you down below in the description where you can get it. You can also find a link down there to my Twitch stream and my Discord, where I'd be more than happy to be your host and answer any questions you might have. Let's go ahead and dive on into the game. Off, and away we go. So you may notice something a little bit weird about my spaceship right now. It's a snake. That's because one of the factions in this game has bioships, and it happens to be the one that I specialized in because I wanted to do damage over time, and I wanted to use poison effects, and I wanted to use corrosive machine guns and stuff like that, and well, this is what we spec'd on into. There are other hulls, if you take a look. I can swap into like this little hull right here, which is a much more, this is much more of like, I think, what people probably expected. Why is that right there? Did it fall out of my inventory or something? I don't know. But anyways, there's lots of hulls. I think the developers said that there's like 200 different ships in the game that you can get your hands on. I think some of them may be like slight reskins or whatever, or like recolors or things of that nature. Maybe they're counting all the rarities. But there do seem to be a pretty good variety of ships. Everything from fighters on up to heavy cruisers are going to be available to the player. But for right now, I am playing as Snake Ship. I call this the Don't Tread on Me special. The downside to this ship, so this ship is very tanky. This ship has a lot of DPS. This ship has a lot of bonuses that benefit acid and damage over time. The downside to this ship is that this game is heavily bullet hell influenced, and my entire body can be shot by the enemy, which means that I am subject to taking a lot of damage in very short amounts of time. For now, let me show you some of the fun stuff that exists inside of this game so that you can play around with it, and then we'll get into the nitty-gritty of like the crafting systems and quality of life and things that I think the game can do a little bit better, things that I think the game does poorly, but by and large, I think my impressions of the game are positive. I'm going to fly on out to like the level 10 area. Right now I'm about level 14, and yeah, we're already under attack here. There are a lot of things that want to hurt me. So I have a Xanthu build right now. Basically, there are like 5 or 6 talent trees in this game that associate with various races throughout the galaxy. I am a Xanthu build at the moment, and they are the ones that enjoy flying giant sentient sort of bioships that have turrets all over a snake dragon's body and stuff like that. I have 4 turrets on my body right now, and look at that. They put little flashlights on them, too. As you can see, my turrets are definitely trying to bang on the enemy right now, and they do provide a significant proportion of my DPS. Now, what are you doing in this game? Well, there are 4 acts to this game, and there is a storyline, although from what I've seen so far in the last 5 to 6 hours, it's nothing to write home about. It's just like the never-ending search for the MacGuffin. It's an action RPG. Do you really need to have that good of a story? You know what I mean? Like, I feel like that's action RPGs in general. As an action RPG player, Path of Exile tends to have pretty good writing, but Path of Exile is like a multi-gazillion-dollar game at this point. But things like Last Epoch, Diablo, they never really felt like they had altogether that great of a storyline to me. It's really just a MacGuffin to get you off on the road and killing lots of enemies. Dude, can you stop shooting me with your cruisery body? You're beginning to upset me. If I'm going to fly this ship, I can tell already I'm going to have to work on my tank. My tank is unfortunate in this craft. If I could get my hull regeneration up by another 200 or 300%, I think this ship would do really, really well. But for right now, we're taking far too much damage, and it worries me. What is there to do in this game? Back to my original question. You're going to fly around the open galaxy. In the open galaxy, they will give you storyline prompts, and those will advance the storyline. I know, shocking. Who would have ever known that that might happen when you chase down a narrative? But there's also going to be random sensor traces. You can go and investigate those, and those can be anything from battles to dungeons to armadas to you name it, just random bosses that are floating around with random affixes on them that drop a ton of loot. Depends. Every time you close the game down, it regenerates the map, so you never quite know what you're going to run into. You can memorize the level scale of various areas around the map so that you know where you belong and where you've out-leveled and where you're going to get tanked instantly. It's up to you. I need to turn on autocast on... There we go. Hopefully the autocast turns off if we're at full health. Otherwise, it's going to be super annoying. But you can turn on autocast for pretty much every single ability in this game. Every single ship has a number of active slots, a number of passive slots. The interesting thing about that is any passive can go in any slot in this game. So you can put a passive in an active slot, for example. You can put an active in a passive slot. So really, the slots don't matter entirely altogether that much what you put things in a lot of cases. But it does give you a lot of... Ooh, there's a battle up here. Nice. I would love to participate in a battle. Oh, good. It doesn't autocast if we're already at full health. Beautiful. That's the one thing that I was worried about. Very nice. That'll give me some more hull per second. My turrets are firing at something right now. The game doesn't pause when you're in your menu. But there are different classes of ships. The class of ship, as far as I've seen so far, does not matter for the amount of modules you can mount. So I've flown everything from a small fighter up to like a cruiser so far in my 4 or 5 hours of playing the game. And you don't get more slots to put stuff in on the bigger ships. And I think that's actually kind of an interesting choice, because I found that the big ships in this game come with considerable downsides from my playtime anyways. But there are different hull sizes. What bigger ships do get is they get a lot more turrets on the spine of the hull. Something is shooting me right now. What's shooting me right now? What are you doing, sir? Stop that. I'm losing health right now while I'm trying to talk to my audience. Can you relax? I will blast the coinage out of your ass crack. I'm just that dude. I'll hit you so hard your shoes come untied. Back to what I was saying. Bigger ships have the benefit of having way more HP. They are very slow, and they suck at dodging the bullet hell portions of the game. So it's usually a good idea if you want to be a large ship pilot to specialize in one of the trees that makes large ships better. Some races like bigger ships better than smaller ships, and they'll give you lots of bonuses to like hull tanking and, you know, resistances and regeneration and stuff like that, so that you don't need to worry about the bullet hell sections of the game. We are not at that point in the game, though. We're kind of like level 14, level 15, which is not very high level. This ship is honestly kind of a risk with what we're doing right now, but I like the 4 turrets that it has on its back, and I like the fact that I'm a biological snake monster that can be piloted throughout space. That's not something that I get to do very often in a space game, is be a giant biological space monster. So I would like to be a biological space monster for a little bit. Go ahead and wipe out some enemies over here. And because we're cruising up on a battlefield, this is one of the random events that can come up while you're flying throughout the galaxy. The battlefield is going to be a couple of factions fighting each other, and we are swooping in. I think both sides should have a commander that's around somewhere, and the commanders tend to drop really good loot. Just like certain races in this game are associated with certain ships and certain design strategies, they are also associated with certain weapons. So I am a full-on Xanthu build, which means that I'm really good with drones, and I'm really good with anything that is acid or poison-based. All their weapons tend to be like biological or corrosive. If I was playing a different race, I might be good with missiles. I might be good with, or I guess if I was spec'd into a different race, I might be good with machine guns. I might be good with missiles. I might be good with mortars or laser weapons or plasma weapons or whatever else. But I am what I am right now. But you do have those options available while you're playing the game. Wipe out a couple of these dudes over there. There we go. The game does have rudimentary loot filters inside of it. I do think a big area of improvement for this game is with regards to quality of life. I think taking a look at what some other games like Last Epoch have done with their DPS calculators, or what The Division has done with its DPS calculators and its stat calculators, might be a good idea in order to get a few things implemented. I have found that sometimes, aside from looking at gear score and running the math in my head by myself, it can be difficult to figure out upgrades, especially when they've got lots of, you know, little gritty, grainy things like attack speed nerfs, but also plus bonus damage to crit and things of that nature. It'd be nice to just have a DPS calculator on the side somewhere, and I'll take a look to make sure that I didn't miss that. I looked for it before. I'll make a little edit a little bit later in the video to make sure I'm correct about that, but a more prominent, if it does exist, DPS calculator would be appreciated. Yeah, it looks like we've got item levels and stuff inside the inventory, but no real active updating DPS calculator for swapping things in and out. We've got Earwig the Large. Earwig the Large is kind of like our counter, though, because Earwig the Large is a flamethrower guy, and I don't know if you know this about biological organisms, but they don't like being set on fire. Because every single segment of my ship can be damaged, and fire penetrates all compartments of a ship, that means we're going to get chewed on pretty good by this guy if he hits us with that flamethrower. It's going to hurt. Luckily, the good news is it looks like we're absolutely melting this guy if we can... Oh, no. Oh, we're going to die right here. We got frozen space. This is the downside to the hull that we're running right now. I'm literally stun locked. I can't get away. There is no dodging, unfortunately, because my snake body is so large and it takes damage. So if your tail gets hit by a freezing attack, it freezes your entire body. And so anyways, that's what happened right there. I think we can give that a try again just to see if we can knock it out. But you have to be aware of the fact that in this game, every single hull has considerable downsides. If you're playing a fast fighter, if you get hit once, you're dead, basically. If you're playing something larger like a frigate, you've got a little bit more wiggle room, but like you've got some dodge, but not... Ooh, loot container. Hold on, this is a loot ship. Loot ship, give me your loots. Give me your loots right now. There we go. All right, so I've killed the loot ship. Our ship right here has a ton of DPS, but it is a massive liability for any enemy that has anything that stuns us, freezes us. Other ships are going to be small enough that they can dodge that stuff. We are never going to dodge anything with this ship. We are firmly... Ooh, a battleship. We are firmly in the market. A 700-meter battleship. Okay, you have my attention. Snake ship might have to go. Hold on. Let's see what we've got here. Let's identify this battleship. This battleship has 8 turrets on its back. It has 5,000 hull, roughly. It has very poor mana. Its mana is not very good. That's what warp plasma is. It's very slow. I mean, I've got to equip it, right? I have to. How big is this thing? Oh, yeah, baby. That's the stuff right there. Oh, Bubba. That's the good stuff right there. Unfortunately, we are incredibly slow, and our line of sight... I don't have any sensors equipped right now, so I can't zoom out any further. Your zoom level in this game is linked to your sensor level, and my sensor level is basically 0. I have no sensors equipped at all. Are these turrets any good? Looks like they're machine gun turrets. Oh no, they're firing missiles. They're missile pods. Interesting. I need to go through my inventory and see if I have any sensors around, because we're basically going to have to equip a sensor on this. I don't think we have any choice in the matter. Well, I don't have any sensors in my inventory right now. But this thing is a home wrecker. However, I think this ship's going to run into the same problem that the last ship had, in that it's just too damn big. So if the enemy has any type of stun, or the enemy has any type of freeze, or anything, there's no diminishing returns in this game, so you can just be chain stunned or chain frozen, which is why I tend to stick to the smaller ships. I think the big ships in this game need a lot of love. Their DPS seems about on point, but the big ships do seem to get stun locked a lot from my experience. Trying to blast my way through this field. I just want to play around with the battleship for a minute. I've never had a battleship drop in my 6 hours or so. I've had everything up to a cruiser drop, but this is bigger than the cruiser. Oh boy, there's a boss over here, isn't there? I was gonna say, I see bullet hell things happening on my screen right now. Give me all these engines and stuff. Oh, it's just... Okay, so there's like a little blue guy right there. Let's back up a little bit because there's a lot of enemies and they're beginning to pound us, as tends to happen when a Star Destroyer enters the battlefield. Everybody focuses fire on it because it's the principal threat. Any more enemies we got around here? Get all these asteroids out of the way. Yeah, a frigate is nothing to a battleship, man. We are an enormous, nasty threat to pretty much everything. I can't see, though. My scanners are unbearably bad. So I'm going to need to buy a better scanner if we're going to run this ship, just so I can see, like, what I'm firing at. We appear to be somewhat outmaneuvering this guy. I'm kind of scared to stop moving in the off chance that he freezes me or does something bad to me. Yeah, he's got that freezy ray. That's what put us down last time. I want my revenge over here. There we go. We got our revenge. Freezy ray guy has been eliminated. Oh, yeah. Freezy ray Vaughn, man. We got a flamethrower. We got a flat gun. We've got a new epic hull. Oh, we getting looties out here. We getting the looties. We're so slow, though, dude. I'm not used to playing a ship that's just, like, this ridiculously slow. All right, let's set up right here, and we'll just bombard the enemy. Before I recorded this, I was kind of doing like a drone build, but I've yet to find a drone that kind of fits into what I want to do. Like, I need a drone that's got a ton of corrosive damage on it for it to work with my build, and I just haven't found any drones that have corrosive damage to them just yet. My turrets have terrible tracking. They're doing an awful job hitting that guy. Get a little bit of latinum. And then I'm just going to kind of fire wildly into this field of enemies and just get free XP for destroying stuff that's slightly off screen. I do need to go through my loot stack, though, and figure out if I've got anything better than this ship or something that's like the same but hits harder. Like a side grade would be fine, too. Hull repair is good to go. Warp plasma pickups right there off the ground. I think we've just about killed everybody over here. I do want to play around with that epic flamethrower, too. Oh, there's another boss up here, huh? Got guys doing shouts and stuff. I don't know where he's at, though. He's here somewhere, believe you me. Good. I'd like to pick up... I got a beam on my right hardpoint right now, and I don't like it very much. The thing is, with bigger ships, their turrets are spaced farther apart, and they're not gimbaled, so there's no convergence on their fire, really. So it means when you're fighting smaller ships, you're firing around them and not really bringing all your DPS to bear. I found a couple ships, and that was actually one of the reasons why I like the Snake ship, was that the Snake ship, it has both of its hardpoints stacked on top of each other, which means you're always firing all your guns at the same point, which I found to be just a really nice benefit of that ship, aside from the fact that it gets chewed on really hard, as you saw. Like I said, every ship has a place in this game. The little ships die instantly, but they're fast and they don't really get hit that much. The big ships get hit by everything, but they tend to have better tank and better DPS. And there's like a million different grades in between those 2 points that you can play around with. Let's see if we can find another point of interest here to play around. Honestly, if I could just... There's so many bad guys over here. Like, enemy density is on full swole right now, dude. We've got like that Akibono Yokozuna energy over here when it comes to enemy density. And I'm just trying to get away from them all. Oh, there's a legendary guy over here, too. You can tell what quality the enemies are by the color of their health bars. So the blues are rares. The purples are, like, slightly stronger. The yellows have even more mods on them. Is he summoning something? I was going to say, he's little. It's going to be hard to hit him. Oh, he's already dead. Never mind. I lied. We killed him instantly. I underestimated my own power. A cloner. The cloner might be useful. Trying to clean up the rest of this battlefield real quick. There are dungeons in this game. The dungeons don't seem to vary very much from what I've seen in 5 or 6 hours. They all kind of have like the same floor plan, the same tile set. You go down in, there's going to be like a series of waves once you get down a couple levels. Same thing happens. I think they could use a little bit more diversification on the dungeon front. Not a whole lot of interesting stuff happening with the dungeons. There are dungeons, however, that constrict your ability to go inside by the size of the door. So, for example, with this battleship, some dungeons we would not be able to go into. Some dungeons we would. It just kind of depends. Sometimes it's good to keep like an extra hull inside your inside your inventory so that if you find a dungeon that only like a fighter can fit inside of, you can take a fighter in there real fast and not have to go back to your storage and pick up a new hull. All right, are we good here? Ooh, a fragment. Nice. Helium fragment. Let's go get it. Cool. Those are for the crafting system. The game has a full-on crafting system. It's not necessarily deterministic. In a certain respect, it is. So, like, the fragments tell you exactly what you get out of them when you take them to the crafting table, or exactly what you need in order to make them work. However, the mods and things that you get out of them tend to be random, so just keep that in mind. I'm just going to park the battleship right here. My cannons will protect me. Another fun attribute of this game is that you can slot in weapons into all these turret slots if you wanted to customize what kind of bullets you're firing, by the way. So if we wanted to put like a stabilized corrosive carbine on there, we could do that. Or we could take like a burst fire cannon and put it on there if we wanted to. However, I don't think you get the same DPS out. I think it like does like a little percentage of, like the little number on there is how effective a turret is when it's slotted on in there. I have a lot of loot on me right now. All right, so we have a gear level 13. That's not going to be helpful. Do we have multiple pages of loot? Oh boy. We do have multiple pages of loot. This would be a good time for a town portal, I think. I'm kind of topped off at the moment. There we go. If you're wondering how big our ship is, this is an entire space station right here. That's how big our ship is, in case you were just curious. I'm going to sell off a lot of the stuff that I have on here and just keep an eye on the things that I think are worth keeping, and then we'll go through it together afterwards to figure out how we want to gear. Okay, so I went through everything. It took me probably like 5 minutes or so to go through all the loot. We didn't really pull too much out. I got an upgrade for my repair module. I got an upgrade for my fire rate module. I got an upgraded sensor so that we can see a little bit better now. As you may have noticed, I'm in a different hull that is much smaller. I'm in like a fighter now, which this fighter is better than our other craft, and so I figured I'd give it a go. Is my cloner on autocast? I've got a cloner right now. It's not on autocast right now, but it casted it. That wasn't me. However, we do have a much more maneuverable ship. This is the crafting system right here. If you land inside it here, it's called the Continuum Transmuter. You will find these fragments or stones all over the galaxy. They do different things, and it literally says what it does on it. So if you can't figure out how to use it, so it says right here, provides a random weapon modification for a weapon or summon auxiliary. So if we were to take this corrosive beam and put it in here with that right there, it would light up. And then we do that, and it looks like it gave it stun addition, which means that our beam now has a chance to stun. If you don't know what it does, you go down, you hold down the out key right here. So it looks like it nerfed the DPS a little bit, but now it has a chance to stun the enemy. And that's the crafting system. It does stuff and things. There are fragments that will strip the mods off of stuff. There are fragments that will add mods to things. I haven't fiddled around with it too much. Why is my beam firing off to the side? That's weird. Why is my beam canted right now? Huh. How very strange. Well, I don't exactly know why my beam is firing to the side right now, alright? But I can tell you that I've got like a little beam on my little summon right there that's doing his thing. Is it part of like the stun mod made it do that? I might have to track down a new gun, man. I don't know if this canted laser thing is gonna work for me. I'm guessing that it gave it some kind of accuracy mod that like messes with it. Yeah, it gave it 50% bullet spread from what it looks like to me. I think that's what happens. Basically, we modded our weapon and now it fires slightly sideways. It's like a little bit of a special edition. Unfortunate, because that means it's going to be really hard to bring this thing to bear on the enemy. What's going on over here? Some kind of mayhem happening. I mean, it's still fine if I can get, like, up inside the enemy. That's kind of a big if right there. Leaving a laser him down. Alright, we should be a lot faster now, too, just due to the fact that we're a lot smaller. There's a wave spawner Ushiria. I don't know if I've seen that one before. I think it's like a big asteroid thing that summons enemies, but I feel like the last time I saw one, I couldn't figure out how to kill it. Like, it was like immune to damage, and I couldn't figure out what made its damage immunity, like, go away. Oh my. There's a lot of things happening right now. Enemy density is one thing this game does really well. There's like never a dull moment. Like it's basically impossible to travel throughout the galaxy without some kind of scrum kicking off. Our DPS seems fairly consistent, even with the loss of the 4 turrets. I mean, what's really hurting us right now is that beam firing off to the side. If it was still firing, so this is what I get for crafting, dude. This is what I get for crafting on a weapon that I didn't actively have a replacement for. I didn't like brick it, but I made my gameplay experience a lot more annoying. I'll tell you that. For 2% stun, I don't think this is worth it. I mean, we did get a stun right there, so that was kind of cool. And I guess since it ticks so fast, there's a better chance that you'll get the stun, but I don't know, man. Big battleship down. Okay, this fight is not doing anything for me, so I'm gonna leave. I don't feel like I'm getting anything for this. Ooh, loot ship over here. Let's go get him. I love loot ships. Loot ships are where I get, like, all my goodies from. Like, every time I get something good, it's off one of these ships. So, like, every time I see them now, I pounce on them, dude, like a hungry cat on, like, a little tiny busted leg mouse. I'm just like, give it to me! Yeah, that warp generator's probably good. Nanobot generator. Don't know if that's any good. A plated engine. Okay, well, we used up all of our luck on the legendary. All right, that's what I'm going to say happened there. We used up all of our luck on the legendary. And I identified warp plasma generator. So it looks like it gives us a pretty big nerf to our damage, but a pretty big increase to our attack speed. We get more hull. We get more mana. And we regenerate basically infinite mana while we have it equipped. That to me is sort of like an interesting prospect. I don't know if I want it or not. It's got a sturdy hull mod. What does that do? Increased hull at the cost of reduced. That's where the reduced damage. That would actually be a really good mod. Were it not for the sturdy hull being on it. Because the attack speed, oof. It'd be one of those things that I would definitely consider swapping in instead of having like a sensor or something, because I'm a big attack speed junkie in games like this. I like my attack speed to be pretty squared away. Oh, we got the stun on him. Nice. Now we just, ooh, yeah, that lack of no diminishing return sucks, huh? Yeah, have fun being stun locked. That's what I felt like when I was piloting the Snake and you mercilessly ended me with your stun locks. That's what I felt like. It's not very fun, is it? It's not super enjoyable, huh? Yeah, take that one to the bank. Deposit it. Looks like it's a dungeon. That's what it looks like to me anyways. I don't know if it's a dungeon worth doing. It looks like some kind of storage facility. Usually I don't do the dungeons because I feel like I don't get that much XP for like... Yeah, these guys are like, what, level 5-ish? Yeah, I think I might be in the wrong neighborhood for XP. We may just want to ignore this. Does this one have like the name on it? Like, what is this over here? Open the door real fast. I want to see what this is. Is something interesting happening here? This is where the text has things labeled, so now I'm curious. I am fighting things that are a lot lower level than I am right now, which is odd because I was like in a level 10 zone. Yeah, all the loot's gonna suck over here. So it looks like there's some kind of loop back. Like, I thought just like the further out you were, the harder the game would get, but I guess not. So I figured what we would maybe do now that we've got ourselves kind of refitted and whatnot. Like, maybe we'll try to run down and take care of, like, a storyline quest. Because that'll give us a dungeon dive, so you can see what the dungeon dives look like in this game. They're nothing really to write home about. They're nothing super special. It's nothing that you're going to remember like next Saturday, basically. But they are places you can go into to get some loot and some other stuff. The sideways beam laser is going to drive me nuts, man. That is a really irritating modification. I'm honestly a little slightly bit upset with the game for ruining my laser like this. I should have thought about the consequences before I went to the crafting workshop. These things always seem to happen to me. Just my luck. Those are landmines. Don't hit those, especially if you're in a fighter. It will have bad results. I don't fight anything inside the dungeons because they don't drop any XP and they don't drop any loot. So usually I just fly past them all if I can manage it. This right here is a challenge. You're going to see some text on the top of the screen. The game is going to dispense some narrative. That's our guy that like rescued us or something at the beginning of the game. I don't know. It's an action RPG, dude. I'm here to blow up the screen and be awesome. I'm not really here to like consume storyline. Oh yeah, I've got nanobots, and I will summon them now. Many, many nanobots will be deployed. And as you can see, my Nunu bots are going to chew on the hull of my enemies until they suffer and die. Oh no, I lost a Nunu bot. Give me a Nunu bot back. I should be Nunu bot outed at all times. You can see their little tiny bullets, but you can't see the nanobots. That's how you know they're nanobot. There they are right there. You can see my little tiny nanobots on that side. Without being able to bring both my guns to bear, DPS has become a difficult business, in my opinion. Against larger ships, it doesn't seem to matter all that much. Against smaller ships, though, this is actually a little bit of an irritant. I'm gonna have to find a weapon to swap this out with. If I could get a secondary screamer, which is the weapon I'm firing right now, the green machine gun, if I get another one of those, I'd actually be pretty happy. I like the screamers a lot. Oh, good. He flew across the booby trap, and now he's burning to death. We got another hole right there, which is kind of cool. So the goal, what am I doing inside of here? Inside of here, you've got to kill the mobs to the south that are marked with skulls. If you kill them off, other doors will open up, and then you basically just got to open all of the doors, kill all of the bad guys, do all of the things, and then you get to go fight a big boss that's going to be down the next corridor or two. I think we've got to do like 2 or 3 layers of this fight against these random little guys. Just going to keep my laser firing. Maybe it accidentally hits something. Maybe we like line up, just do our trigonometry possibly. I would like to get a different gun though. I fear that I've ruined this one. Please die. Thank you. Goodbye. So doors are opening. Oh yeah. Keep firing the death laser off to the side. I get the feeling that like our pilot is just like cross-eyed or something now. He didn't even mod the weapon. He just hit his head too hard on the dashboard. Now his eyes don't align right. He doesn't even know that he's firing one gun way off to the side. He's got that antelope vision. Kill off a couple of turrets. The turrets are dead. There we go. Now that we're a little bit further on into the video, it's probably not the worst idea that I give you my thoughts about the game, since that's what you actively came here for, right? Well, after 6 hours, I can say a couple things about this game. I think it does add up to be more than the sum of its parts. I think there's interesting ideas here, and I think there's some interesting quality of life. There's also interesting spots where there's a lack of quality of life. So let's just kind of like hit it, I guess. And then I kind of remembered that I forgot to show you the talent trees here. Let's take a look at the talent trees real fast. So these are the talents that are in the game at the moment. I just wanted to show what they looked like before we went any farther. I just recalled that I forgot to put any talent trees in the game. You guys didn't see the talent trees. There's like 5 different space races. They all focus on different things. Some of them are all about attack speed, big ships. Some of them are all about fighters. Some of them are about acid damage. Some of them are about laser weapons and crit, stuff like that. And so there's nice little talent trees down here. Until you get down a little bit further, nothing feels super consequential. Like the sum total, like 5 level ups is like 10 damage or 10% damage added on. But, you know, some of them do matter. You are going to want to focus your build on doing something, otherwise your time to kill is going to be enormous. But the skill tree's all out of the way. What is my opinion of NIENIX? Let's kind of condense it all in one spot. My thoughts about the game are that I like it. I've been an action RPG fan for a long time. From Diablo to Loki, I've pretty much played all of them. And this is a game that's not afraid to kind of strike out in its own direction and do something weird and kind of refuses to adhere to genre convention while still grabbing and picking and choosing the things from games like Diablo that work. There were a couple of things that jumped out at me while I was playing the game. One of them was time to kill. I don't know if I just made a bad build. That's entirely a possibility here, but I felt like my time to kill was really long. Even after I respec'd and focused on specific weapon types with specific weapon elementalism and everything else, it felt like some ships took a long time to kill, and I prefer for my games to be very zoomy. Kind of like Path of Exile, where I'm just mowing down everything in 2 hits and sprinting so fast that you can't even tell what's going on. The other thing that I noticed about it is a lot of the bullet speeds felt a little bit slow to me. Like, if all the bullets were doubled in their travel time, I probably would have liked the feel of the guns a lot more, but I ended up feeling like a lot of the bullets and whatnot were very sluggish. That's largely my complaints, outside of, like, a lot of the dungeons feeling very similar to me during the time that I played. Other than that, I think this is a game that is very robust. It's an impressive feat for a very small team. It's weird, it's outlandish, it's out there, it's an indie take on action RPGs that I think deserves to have its name out there because it's weird. Like, this is a game that I've always wanted. I've always wanted a game where you have like a frigate or like a battleship and you slap parts on it that have Diablo-style affixes, and you churn your way through thousands of little fighter crafts and whatnot. And this game will give you the opportunity to have drones, to have pets. You can even summon frigates. It'll let you be a giant space snake, a biomechanical space snake with turrets on its back that blows everything up. You can be a ship that takes up the entire screen and just rains hot dookie down on everybody. And so this is a unique experience, despite the fact that it's obviously a game that was made on a much lower budget than something like Diablo 4 or Last Epoch or any of the current action RPGs that are kind of blowing up the scene. This is worthy of your notice if you like independent games and you wanted to see kind of a weird alternative take on action RPGs. It's a great game to jump on into and just grind away on mobs for a little bit until you level up and get some new cool stuff. It's not going to have a storyline or anything that's going to blow your hair back or anything else like that, but treating it like a game where you just jump in to blow up a couple thousand mobs and then jump off to go do something else, it works perfectly fine at that, and there's a lot of customizability here. There's a lot of things you can equip. There's a lot of ways you can build your ship, and I thought it was an interesting title. So, NIENIX, check it out. I got a link for you down below. The game comes out, I think, on the 24th in 1.0. My name is Splattercat. I sift through the pile to find what's worthwhile in the world of indie games every single day so you don't have to. I'll be back tomorrow with something hot, fresh off the indie skillet, but for now, it's time for me to go. Bye, folks.